ideas. I know we're now down to the wire. We're starting to finish, but what does the summer look like? I know a lot of you work in the summer or 2 weeks after school gets out. What are your districts requiring you to do? What do you feel comfortable doing? So I just thought we could get together and talk a little bit about it and maybe get some ideas or some reassurance or just to be able to complain for a minute. I don't know. So good morning, everybody. I'm Marie Cross. I work at Cape Elizabeth High School. I've been there for 3 years. Prior to that, I was at Cheverus. And I love my job, but I miss the kids and I miss school. So. I'll leave it there.
Tyler,
Yeah,
I'm getting emails that gosh, this is a good turnout here.
yeah. I think over 100 in Zoom
Over
stops letting
100.
people in. I didn't expect 100.
Wow, this is awesome though.
Well, can I say something?
Sure, of course.
I agree that we were just kind of left kind of hanging. That number one, we don't get to see the kids. The teachers do, the principals do, the assistant principals do.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, she's muted.
She went on mute for some reason.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I have a question. I work for the Bedford School Department, and we met yesterday, a bunch of us admin assistants, and one question we came up with was the workers' permits that we typically, parents come in and they fill out the form and then we send it off to the state, but we've made the form so that parents can type right into it. But will the state allow for parents just to type their name in and not have to do a signature? That's what we were wondering.
Does anybody have an answer?
The person in my district, I'm Fran, I work at MS 8051 in Cumberland, North Yarmouth. Our gal that does work permits checked with the Department of Labor, and what they will take in place of a signature is an email saying, sort of like if they email you the form, then that's kind of their signature that they are certifying that the information they filled out on the work permit is what they wanted to fill out.
Okay, thank you.
I just processed some this morning. I had the parent complete the form, scan it with their birth certificate to my email. Then I scanned it and sent it off as an email to the state, and I got it back this morning.
Can I just interject? Is this being recorded for those who can't attend?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's a good interruption.
I just wanted to add to that, the scanning is great, but what we're finding is some of the parents just don't have the printers at home and stuff. So that's why, you know, I wondered if that was an option. I had a mother call the other day that was going to go to Staples to fax it. And I'm like, no, that's just too much, I feel like, for a parent to have to do. So that's why I wondered about the signature.
I think as long as you have the email from the parent with the form, I think the Department of Labor is fine with that in these times.
You can also use your iPhone or Android phone as a scanner. There are apps out there, but if you have an iPhone, you can actually use the Notes app with the camera, and it becomes a scanner and will turn it into a PDF and send it right to your email.
Anybody have anything else that they can think of?
A quick thought on what you said before about what we are capable.
Alice Hartley asked a question regarding special education records. How do you handle your special education records? Like,
Hi, Stephanie, I'm here.
oh, there she is. Hi.
I had raised my hand, but perhaps there was a disconnection or whatever. And then when you brought my name up, I thought I'd just chime right in.
Yes, I'd rather hear your voice than mine.
I don't know how I'm coming in because, like I said, I'm on the lake. Is it clear or?
Yep.
Okay. I'm a special ed secretary with Millinocket School Department. My name is Alice Hartley. I was going to attend the records retention conference, which of course was canceled. I've been with the school for 31 years. My question is, what we must keep by law in for special education records, what we keep forever and what we keep for the 7 years until they're 26 years old. And if I could get an answer, that would be great.
Does anybody, Colleen, do you have any insight on that?
I have a copy of the actual records retention schedule. I will try to get the link into the chat box. If not, then I can get it to you, Steph, and you can send it out to everybody if you want. I think it lists everything and how long you need to keep things.
Okay.
I'll try to locate that.
I do.
So
I do have a copy of that. I do have a copy of that was given to me last year by somebody that attended, but it's not clear at all. It doesn't define, for instance, it talks about special ed records and how long they be kept, but not, obviously evaluations I would think would be kept forever, and that isn't spelled out. It's not clear.
So I actually worked with the, hi, I'm Hetty, and I'm not Patty, I'm Hetty, because I was one of the ones that can't get in because you've limited the number of people to come in. So I'm sitting with my coworker, and I actually was our district, along with Bangor School District, work with the Maine State Archives to come up with the schedule that we now have for records retention. And you have to take a look at the student education records as well as the special education records, understanding that special ed has specific things for certain things, but a student record is a student record, whether it's general education or whether it's special education. And if you have specific questions, if you want to email me, and I'll put an email link, I'll have Patty put an email link to my email address. We can maybe send you some more information about how we interpreted the special education records and how we interpreted regular education. So we might have some insight to that for you. And we also in our district took that information, took the Maine Archives information, and we created our own document for our district that shows everybody. We took every kind of piece of paper we use in our district regarding students, and we created a spreadsheet that kind of says, here in MS86, this is this piece of paper, where does it reside, who is responsible for it, how long is it kept, how can it be destroyed, and who do we have to inform when it is destroyed. So if you want that information, I'm happy to share our link so you can kind of take a look at that. So like I said, it's hsmith@bonnieeagle.org. And, just email me anytime. We're willing to share that kind of information. Thanks.
Thank you.
Wow, sounds like you guys are detailed. That's great. So, anything else?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding timesheets, they're asking our support staff, hourly staff, to be detailed on the timesheets. So what is the purpose? I mean, how down, parents and students for the whole day, but I'm not actually doing everything for, to fill a 7-hour slot particularly. So what is your recommendation, or how do you think they should fill those out, and for what purpose would they be used?
They, as in your fellow admin assistants in your district?
Right, or all of our hourly employees. They're just kind of stumped about what are we putting down for specifics. If we don't have stuff, we don't have stuff. It's not like teachers where they're actually teaching most of their day.
Yeah, you've exhausted your duties, right?
Correct.
But you're available if needed, so you're still available, so you're on the clock per se.
Correct.
Is anybody else running into this problem?
In our district, we're putting down the hours that you actually worked because we're getting paid for our full hours. Our district is keeping track of, I'm in with S86 with Hetty. Our district is keeping track of hours worked versus your normal hours. So we just asked to put down, if you're only working from 9 to 2 and your regular hours were 7 to 2, you're only putting 9 to 2 on your time card. But because the state is paying us for our full paycheck, the 7 to 2 is what they're basing it on, but 9 to 2 just to keep our records, just to keep the records straight. So it doesn't.
But not detailing like what exactly you're doing during that time?
No, our payroll department doesn't need to know that, but we have, we work with the frontline system. And so they just put down the time that they've worked. We, in our school, I work for the middle school, we have a detailed Google Doc that we're asking our hourly staff to enter in, worked with XYZ kid, did this Zoom meeting, did this, did that. That's where they're getting detailed, not on their time card.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Does that worry you, Kim, that they're asking you for so much detail, in the sense that maybe down the line they might say we don't need 2 full-time people in the office based on the number of actual hours you worked versus the number of actual hours you were paid, and that might be a cut, a riff? I live in South Portland. I work in Cape Elizabeth. I have friends that work at Scarborough. They have no contract for the 2nd year in a row. We're getting ready to negotiate a contract in Cape Elizabeth. I'm worried that a lot of us, especially depending what the fall looks like, are we going back to school? We don't know. None of us do. But if they're going to say that Kim, when we look at what she actually worked, do we need her? Why don't we give that to somebody else and combine 2 jobs? So this worries me that they're asking for that kind of detail. I mean, what do they expect you to do? I mean, you could sit at your computer all day long and say, I've been waiting for emails, I've done this. I'm worried. That's why I wanted to have this conversation.
I personally am not worried because we had a meeting yesterday, just administrative assistants in our district, and so I'm at home and I can get my job done a lot faster because I'm not getting interrupted by the students and the staff and the meetings that I have to have or I participate in on a daily basis in my job. So it's different when you're working from home. You have, well, most people, I'm only speaking for myself, I don't have the interruptions of the 30 students that want this, or the 40 phone calls I'm taking, and the staff meetings I need to attend to, and the photocopiers down. So no, I'm not worried, because no, I am not worried. But that's a legitimate, worry for a lot of people, I'm sure. But personally, and I can only speak for myself personally, I am not worried.
Doing the same thing, and
I'm sorry, I'm just chiming in with Kim. I'm also with Bonnie Eagle District. I'm at the high school. Our administrative team, superintendent, all the way down to principals, have been very supportive and very open about all of that. So that is why I think partly why we don't have that concern. My understanding is it was more for documentation in case the state comes back down the road and needs to know hours for maybe additional funding or grants to help the district. It is certainly not to hurt the employees. Our group has been terrific at Bonnie Eagle. That's it. Thanks.
It's also. I just want to chime in too, and in our group, just that remember, it's not just for our administrative assistants or secretaries. It's for all our hourly people, and our board generously decided to, pay regular hours through the school year, through this whole time. And we have bus drivers who aren't driving, and we had other areas of people, maintenance workers and that sort of thing. So what they decided to do was to create that idea so that they would see that there were willing employees in our district who stepped up to do all sorts of other things. So we have custodians who have been helping out in the food service. We have bus drivers who have been doing that as well. We have secretaries who have done different things in order to supplement some of their hours, even though, the district understood that there may not be a total 8-hour day or a 6-hour day or something for somebody. So what it really did, in my opinion, was it showed how many of our hourly staff just step up to do whatever's needed in any kind of a situation, particularly like this. So we're lucky. Our circumstance in S86 may be different for other folks, but right now we have a very supportive board and administration. So for us, we're lucky. And I feel I'm sorry and to hear that there are other districts that somebody might be fearful.
our district is doing the same thing as far as paying out normal hours for all of our hourly employees. And it was my understanding that it is only asked of us to specify what the actual hours worked are in case someday down the line the state at some point is able to reimburse for those hours paid out by the district that weren't actually worked. And it's not in any way to take anyone's responsibilities or opportunities away. It's just a way of tracking that in case if we can get some feedback at some point in the future. That's been my understanding. And when we think about the return, I mean, there are definitely going to be things that have to be filled, and those jobs, they're still going to need someone in them. So I don't see it as a negative at all. I think it's a way for us to show, just like has been said before, how many people are reaching out and doing different things that are outside of to support the school at this time. And it's just a way to make sure we have accurate information in case, anything like this ever happens again. And to just jump back to what I was saying before, for administrative assistants and people that don't usually see the kids during this time, in RSU 5, we've had a lot of teachers reach out and ask different staff members to join their morning meetings with the kids or come up with an activity. We've had different videos go out, things like that, just to keep in touch. So if that's something that you find lacking. I know I'm in the office a few hours a week, and I find the hallways without the students is eerie. But being able to jump in on those meetings and say hi, at least virtually, is wonderful. So check and see if that's an opportunity that can happen within your district and your school.
Now, do you guys have the ability to like offer your help? Like Maria, you said that you're worried about what what's going to happen, but is there a way that you can offer to help?
Oh, believe me, I'm working 10 hours a day.
Oh,
I have plenty of work. I have
Yep.
plenty of work. But I'm just worried. This is sort of an overall thing. I'm just looking at what's happening with our economy. I'm looking what's happening with school budgets. They're all being cut. And when you cut a budget, please don't get me wrong. My administrators, my school district, they've been wonderful. But again, there was really not a lot of direction. And, sometimes I just felt like, gosh, what should I be doing? Oh, no, we've been calling students. Our staff has just been, everything I'm hearing my coworkers, my peers say, it's been happening with us as well. Our bus drivers, our custodians, everyone has stepped up to do whatever is necessary to support our students. That's the key right here. Whether it's academics, food security, making sure kids are safe, all that has been happening by every single person in our district, from the superintendent to everybody. I just worry about when taxpayers start to see that we're able to do our jobs from home or at less hours. And I certainly understand what Kim was saying. The interruptions are gone. The telephone, the photocopier, the teacher that needs something, the student that needs something, so we can get it all done quicker. But I just worry sometimes, I mean, that's all. I don't want anybody to think that Cape Elizabeth School Department is not supporting us. They are. But I felt like we just haven't had a lot of direction on what we should be doing, could be doing, what can we do? That's all.
Yep. Well, the unknown is hard.
I would echo what she just said about, I mean, our district has been good too, but I think it's the fear of why they're asking, because there's no explanation actually at all about, why we might need this. Just all of a sudden it was, now you need to.
Oh, shoot, you froze, Betty. Shoot. While we wait for Betty Lou to unfreeze, anybody else have something to say in regards to that?
Well, I can say that our district, RSU 9, teachers had the opportunity to sit in a meeting before we closed on the 13th with the principal, assistant principals, and so forth, to speak to them about how they were going to be affected. We were supposed to have the same thing for support staff, and we got told on the day that the teachers were meeting, well, we decided we're going to talk to you guys the next day. And then it got pushed another day, and then it was like, well, here's an email instead. So we never got to have a one-on-one conversation, not even one-on-one, a group with an administrator conversing with us to tell us how we were going to go forward and what our expectations were. So that was a bit frustrating, because then of course it creates multiple emails to find out how we were supposed to function, and no real opportunity to speak up in a group setting.
So you weren't able to learn what was going to happen, right?
So we've been just getting things in piecemeal, but I mean, I have been busy. I'm the guidance secretary for our high school, and I have been busy every day since school let out on the 13th of March. But that's a whole different ball of wax, because I deal with the kids and the college transcripts and, that type of stuff. So that has kept me really busy. So I think I would say it's probably more from a union perspective. I would say we just felt that we weren't given the opportunity to speak up and ask questions and have answers that same day.
Yep. Any other thoughts?
I work in the special ed department in Orono, and I work from home. I started at the end of March. I've been very, very busy. We're going to go to 10-hour days here in another month, and we work 4 days, but I haven't missed a beat on anything. It's been really busy for us. And I'm the administrative assistant, and I have a part-time person who does all the scheduling of the IEP meetings and transition meetings. And plus we have a new SPED director coming on July 1st. So I don't see my workload lessening at all. And I came from the medical world, so I'm going into my second year, so I've had a lot to learn. But I like it. It's all right. But it's a lot of paper, a lot of stuff. I do miss not being at the office because there's certain things that you need at your fingertips. I do tuition billing. We have probably 7 school districts 7 towns that come into Orono as tuition billing. So you have to keep up on a lot of different things there. And I also work with a business manager on doing the October 1st counts and all of that stuff. So there's it's a lot of busy work. I have a lot of different, but it's okay. It's okay. And there's never been a question when I went home. I talk with my SPED director daily. We were told to put our hours down. If we work 20, you put your 40 down, and, you're on standby basically. I have found that I've worked 40 hours regardless. I could work more probably, but I don't. I shut my door at 3:30 and go into the other part of the house right now. Right now I go from one room to the next, but I don't have a worry about my job actually right at the moment. If I do, I'll be surprised. But right now I'm fairly busy. So a lot of transition, a lot of kids coming in, a lot of IEP kids. I think there's going to be even more if we do go back to school in the fall. Because I think some kids there's going to be some regression, I think, with the remote learning. Some kids did well. I think some kids haven't. I think it's been hard. That's what I'm hearing anyway.
Is Cindy Blodgett here? No. Tyler, can you see her? Can't hear you, hon. Poor guy. This is a question she sent to me. I would like to hear from other administrative assistants about their virtual learning experience, their workload, their own student connections, the school policy of overtime and comp time, and if their school has any COVID-19 related plans, policies in place. Can any of you speak to that or interested in speaking to that?
Hi, my name's Candy. I'm from RSU 74. We're a very small community, rural community in North Anson. RK5 has been doing homework packets since, I think, 2 weeks after we closed, and we've been doing 612 online. And I think one of our fears from the teachers is with this virtual learning, how many of those are really going to come back? We're afraid of losing students to online schools, charter schools, et cetera, instead of coming back to us and actually, you know, into a public school. So that's one of our concerns, but actually we feel it's been going well. Our superintendent isn't making the teachers grade because they didn't want the paperwork back, etc. So that's just bittersweet because we don't know how many kids are really doing what they should be doing, or the parents being able to help them either. So that's a concern that we have being in the rural community that we're in.
Put that down.
Just jump in. My name is Jennifer, and I'm at the Nickerson School in Swanville. I'm also the administrative assistant at the East Belfast School. We've been kind of doing the same thing, Candy, that we're sending out packets multiple times at this point with no expectation that they're coming back. And it is very hard on some of the teachers who really want to have that accountability for students. But that's what our district has decided to do at this point, is that we give the work. If it comes back, we leave a bin outside if somebody wants to bring it back, but it's not required. I believe we are not doing specific report cards, but progress notes for the end of the year. You know, that's what they're planning. I got bounced off my computer earlier. I was going to speak to what Betty Lou was saying as well, that, you know, we do worry a little bit, especially when you're on standby, you know, waiting for people to contact you or need you in some way. And we were told that basically standby is not hours worked, you know, so we are filling out these sheets for an accountability. And, you know, there's always the worry that are they going to use this kind of thing against us, you know, and I hope not. I hope this is a situation where it's just so unique and so different and so crazy. And I try to think positively about like all the different memes out there about how parents are doing with their kids and how they're teaching their kids, and some of them are pulling their hair out. So I think the public knows that we do a lot more than they think, you know, that they've thought in the past that we've done, you know, as a district. We really do take care of their kids. So anyway, I'm out.
Thank you. Yes, I have a niece that has 5 kids, and she's trying to, 2 are not in school and the rest are school age. And she's like, how do they expect me to teach these kids and be a mom and a wife and keep the house at the same time? So that's just one example that I know of, that the struggle is real, as everybody says. So I think anything that the educators, including the bus drivers, the admins like you guys, and everybody in the school system are going to gain some respect back after all this is done, because now they're seeing what they have to do while they're not in their house. That's just my 2 cents. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about? Come on, you guys. I know you've got some stuff. Let's chat.
I'd love to get some ideas on what other schools are doing for graduation or promotion ceremonies, if at all. I know that I'm at Mast Landing Elementary, which is grades 3 through 5, and we're doing a little 5th grade promotion for our students heading to the middle school. And the 5th grade team is doing some really creative things with a drive-by kind of promotion ceremony option. And I'm really excited about it, but I'm just wondering what other people are doing, if they need ideas, if they have ideas, what that looks like in other districts.
So our 8th grade promotion probably will not happen until September. We're going to try to have the promotion ceremony, and then they'll step right into their freshman freshmen, pre-K 9 goes first, and then 10, 12 will go the next day. So that day will be just for them. We'll promote them, and on that very same day, same whatever, they'll go right on to the high school. We're going to have them march up from CCS to the high school, which is only like half a mile. So it'll be their fun little, you know, people can stand by the sidewalk and beat their cars or whatever, you know, so we'll try to make it fun for them.
Anything else? Well, in Waterville, the car dealership is going to empty his parking lot at, what is it, Central Maine Motors. And they are going, everybody's going to be able to come in their car, and the graduates are going to be able to walk up and get their diploma so everybody can see it. It's kind of cool. It's amazing what people can do when they're pushed, you know?
Is anyone here from Oxford Hills? I heard that they're borrowing the Bridgeton Drive-In movie theater for theirs. That's pretty cool.
Hi, I'm Vicki Merrill. I work at Oxford Hills Technical School, which is in conjunction with SAD 17, Oxford Hills Comprehensive High School. And we have a few things going on. Tonight is our first broadcast of an award ceremony that we give at our tech school. Our AdCom department has put together a video for the students who are receiving awards. And then I know something similar is being done for class night. And for graduation, we are going to hold it at the Bridgeton Drive-In. It won't start until like 9 p.m. because the screen won't show as lit, you know, until it gets dark. And they are intending to each student coming up to where the booth is at the drive-in to get their diplomas. It'll be a slow process because they'll have a lag, you know, to keep each one separate. So it is exciting, and our staff here is awesome. You know, they've gone around to every student and brought their cap and gown, and the support for the students by the staff, as I'm sure at your schools as well, is phenomenal, and I'm thrilled where I work.
I work at Rangeley Lakes Regional School, and we only have 14 graduating, and they're going to do an outside ceremony just for the parents. Everything's going to be live streamed, and it's going to be recorded. And then following that, they have gone to the businesses on Main Street to kind of like represent each student so that they can decorate the front of their stores and stuff. And they're going to decorate their own cars and stuff, and they'll do a big parade through town.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have a question for everybody. Do you have something that the department could bring, like if I could get a guest speaker to come, that you would have questions to ask them, or they could give a presentation on things? Is there anything that you desire to learn about that you have questions on?
I think that starting with what the fallout ends up being as far as whether or not any COVID-19 expenses are paid back or anything like that. Like, we are keeping track at our district of everything that's purchased during this time that is specifically related to this time. And of course, the hours that we were talking about before, the actual worked versus our normal hours, things like that. Once we get answers on what that process is, I would love to hear from someone about which specifically, which order we should specifically be doing things in, what is necessary to, you know, all the details that we need for each item, and when to start that process. Because, you know, our focus now is going to be closing out this school year and starting up next school year, but if our focus needs to shift to that anytime soon, I'd just like some guidance.
Okay, thank you. because I have access to all the departments in this, in education. So like if you have data questions, if you have special service questions, nursing questions, finance, on finance, anything else like that. This is your time to,
Steph,
yes.
I
would like
you
to-
pass on to the
sorry, go ahead.
certification office that I, for one, absolutely love that the CHRC application is 100% online through the MIAS system now. That is so handy. From working in the central office, I have often held people's hands and had them bring their forms in, and I faxed them for them and such. And it's so nice that they finally have that application up and running in the MIAS system. So just kudos to them, I think.
Give them a,
yes.
Okay. Would anybody be interested in talking to Stephanie Fife from certification or Anil for higher education? I do the aspirations program. I don't know if you guys or the national board. I'm just throwing stuff out there off the top of my head because my plan is if we have the interest is to meet every Thursday at 9 o'clock. And maybe next week you guys can think about it and bring some next week. Go ahead, I'll stop talking.
I would like to see if maybe we can have somebody from the nursing department.
Okay.
This is school where I work in is in RSU3. I work in
Okay.
It's very small, so all the medical care falls on the administrative assistant secretary. So what is it gonna look like?
Right. I think they're in
the obviously the district has their own protocols that we follow, but this is a different COVID-19 we never had. So what is it gonna look like? How? What are the guidelines? What are the expectations?
Okay. Yep.
I'm actually curious how the, we're scheduled to open September 1st, but obviously that's subject to change. Just curious, and I don't know if it comes from the state, if it's going to come from CDC or governor or whatever, but how is it going to look when we open? I mean, in our school alone, we have like 260 kids, which probably to some of you is not a lot, but that's K-8. And then we have 3 other schools in the district. You know, we are the larger school, but we're just curious how it's going to look opening up those doors with all those kids and teachers all at the same time. So.
Well, I've been in on a few meetings, you know, and there's not a plan in place yet. That's because this is so fluid. You think you're going to figure it out today, and then who knows, in a week, look how fast it changed. So that'll be interesting.
Hello.
Hello. Who's speaking?
Bonnie.
There you are. You're on my screen down here.
Great.
How are
Okay.
ya?
I'm good. I'm from AOS 93 in Bristol Consolidated School, and we have a pre-K program. I'm just wondering if anyone else has thoughts on how this is going to work with really small children, where you're not able to really social distance them from each other. Does anybody else have a pre-K issue?
We have 2 at East End School in Portland, and I have no idea how they're going to handle that.
Same here. We have a pre-K program, and there's been a lot of talk about how it's going to go down, but there's, like you said, everything changes on a day-to-day basis. So it's hard. It's really hard right now to make plans for that. As of yesterday, we're still planning on screening pre-K kids in June. So we were told that they would have to wear masks and that we would have to do social distancing. So I'm not really sure what that's going to look like at all. Sometimes I wonder if they've ever spent any time with a 4-year-old.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard enough to keep their shoes on. A mask will be one.
Exactly.
This is
The
Melissa
same
from
thing,
Portland.
the question about everyone, we all have a main office with people that pour in. Are we going to do what Hannaford has with the plastic, in front of the desks? Anyone else have any ideas what they're doing for their office? We're going to have to do it ourselves, it seems, just to be sure.
Bill, this is Melissa from Portland. I was thinking the same thing. I think that part of the guidelines I would like to see would also include what are we doing with parent volunteers and speakers and parent celebrations when they come into the building. And again, how do we interact? I'm the receptionist at the office, so how do I interact with these folks with social distancing? We have an older building where there's not much of a barrier between me and anybody coming in, but we don't want to be keeping people out, or do we? Will there be new procedures that we talk through the intercom? And I'd love to see some direction from the Department of Education on how that's going to be handled across the state, not just left up to each individual school, because also knowing that every school's office setup and building structure and population is going to vary widely.
Yeah, we have so many ELL families that we have such language barriers as it is. I could not imagine talking to them through the glass window that we have over the speaker that feeds back all the time. And, so I know people are planning this too, but I wonder if we have any of our own personal ideas, of what we're doing, and trying to lessen people in the office seems counter to what the office is all about, but everything does these days, I guess.
This is Nancy from Portland. Melissa, I agree with you. I think a lot of it, I'm watching what the camps are doing and how they're handling it. We have First Lutheran Day Camp right around the corner. My kiddos are going to be counselors, so I'll try to get some immediate feedback on that. But I think it's just watching how they're handling it. And they're going to the extreme of just waiting for people to wait outside and then bring them in individually. It really is, it's somewhat painstaking, but I think that it might be an option. Who knows?
My question is, I'm Sandy from Hollis Elementary, which is part of SAD 6, and my thoughts are, how are you going to keep 300 kids away from each other at recess? Not that there's 300 kids on the playground at recess time, but we all know that kids, they play tag, they play soccer, they play, are they going to be able to use the equipment on the playground? The swings, the slides. Is that all going to be roped off so our kids can't use it?
Well, I do know there's a task force working on that, the ins and outs of it at the department. No decisions have been made yet, but they're working on it and trying, to look at all angles of it.
Right. You can work on it, and I agree with that 100%. But when you've got children from pre-K to 5, you're herding kittens out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I just don't understand. I mean, I know the intentions are good. I do know that, but it's still, you have got a lot of kids. How are we going to keep them all apart?
Right. Yep.
Stephanie, I think that if this is something that you're open to having or holding every Thursday morning, it would be really helpful once some of those guidelines come out, as far as once we know when things are opening again. When those guidelines come out, if we could discuss them all together and kind of all get on the same page about what the efforts and guidelines are in place and how we can best accommodate those.
I think that's a great idea. Yep, absolutely. I'd be more than willing to do that.
This is Brandon, MSA 51. And I'm just thinking, I know my entire administrative team is working on a reopening plan, and I would suspect that probably most districts are the same. And it might just be that those of you that are like at the schools may not be privy to that information yet, because they're still working on it.
I have a question. I'm Marilyn Starling. My situation is different from a lot of you. I work at Adult Ed in Ellsworth. So we're off site. We're not on a school campus. We actually rent space from the University of Maine. So I'm the first contact person when people come into the building. If we don't have a nurse in our building. So am I going to be expected to check temperatures or things like that? Do we know?
Sorry about that.
And Marilyn, I think that my point earlier was not necessarily, do we have those answers now? But I would love to see direction from the DOA on how they want us to handle those and what are the expectations of us, especially those who receive visitors into the school. That would be, I know there's so many things to consider. I just don't want it to be something that's forgotten when they're thinking about how to bring the children into the building. Then again, what are our front office responsibilities as well, and making sure that that's included.
Right, because I don't deal with younger children like a lot of you. Our students are between 17 and 70. So it is a little bit different for me.
I know for our district, the school I work at is K-8. We have one nurse for 4 schools in our district. So even before this COVID, we were taking temperatures, we were picking up puke, we were calling parents, we were picking lice. I mean, it's crazy. So now with this COVID, where does that put us now? I mean, we can't hire another nurse because the budget doesn't allow. So that's I think, a situation regardless of this COVID-19, us anyway.
I definitely know the nurse piece is being looked at, because there's no way that, I don't even think you could find nurses to come in, be in the school. There's nurse shortages as there are for the hospitals. So
We've also been talking about having to have a separate room for kids who might have COVID symptoms compared to kids who are there for the scratch or some other issue as well. So again, having to reinvent the building is going to have to be a group effort.
Stephanie?
Oh dear.
Not to cut the subject off, but I'm not sure how long you'll go, if it'll only stay till 10 or not. But I'm just wondering, because of the limited amount of participants that are allowed to be on, if there's a way people could email you topics, and when the next session comes up, you could post like what the topics would be, so many people may not try to sign on, and it wouldn't be, they wouldn't not be able to participate if they wanted to.
Well, I plan on not having that happen next week. If 1,000 people want to come, I want them to be here.
Okay, all right.
That was a boo-boo on my part, because I didn't know. I hadn't.
We're all learning.
Great, huh?
We're all learning.
Yes, yep. So we're recording this, and I've been getting emails the whole time we've been talking, and I'm going to reach out to each one of them and give them the link so they can see this and let them know they'll be able to get in here next week.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. If you all could help me out and bring questions next week, I'd really appreciate that.
And could you let us know how we can get to this recording so I can give to the secretaries in our district to share this?
Tyler, are we going to try to put this somewhere so I can? We'll figure it out. Yep, Tyler and I, we'll figure it out and let you all know. Send you an email or something.
Be good.
We can't hear you, dear. What's going on with your headset? Can you unplug your headset? Will that work? Sorry.
Just type his response in the chat. We can all see what he's trying to say.
Yeah. Can you type it? Good
Just
idea.
real quick while he's doing that, if we have an idea of who would be able to be a guest speaker on the next Thursday, if that could go out with the link and say, so-and-so from this department would be happy to answer questions this week, just so we know what kind of questions to come up with as well.
Oh, good idea. Thanks, Sarah.
Got it.
Does anybody have a suggestion for a guest speaker if I could make that happen? Maybe the nursing subject? Okay, I'll work on that.
Please, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Well, okay, guys. This was great. I thank you so much for coming. Next week, same time, same station, and I'll try to get somebody in the nurse department to join us. And I'll take care of the people. So if you talk to somebody and says, I couldn't get in, tell them I'm going to work on that and get it fixed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the long weekend.
Yes.